You're at your old trusty boat. You call mighty sparrow. I'm in the city of Mardi Gras.
Welcome to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we hear stories from everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. All right, we are live, and we have a very special, rare moment in time where I get the pleasure of having my older brother, Sven, who is a master sailmaker. He's had a career in the business well, I'll let him get into it, but Sven was the guy who got my sails, which I used to do a lap around the world, and have continued to serve me for close to 50, 60,000 miles, and still haven't had to take them in for repairs. So he definitely knows his stuff, and he's been around the block all over the world doing his thing. And welcome, Sven.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's pretty interesting to be on a podcast with your brother.
Yeah, right. Well, I remember that first one that we tried when I was early off doing this. It was just you and I. We were definitely pretty drunk. And
yeah. Doesn't help when you're half in the bag.
No, it was. We're going to try. The plan is to do this one's going to be the topic's really going to be about sail making and that whole side of the industry and Sven's experiences or your experiences in it, and then hopefully then maybe later we'll do one because Sven, besides being a sailmaker, he's an ardent follower of what's going on politically and economically and everything that's going on in the world. So it could be a sweet deep dive.
I like to think myself pretty well read.
Yes, yeah, that too. What's your Audible reading list up to?
I think it's like 271 nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
You gotta, you have to put that in there. Yeah, I'm not sitting there reading, novels.
Right, exactly. And I believe my book is in there as well. It should be.
Oh, absolutely, it is. In fact, I read your book in one sitting.
Nice. There you go. Yeah. Well, I there was some other sailing book that I had purchased. It was pretty good. It was a guy who sails to Hawaii by himself, and that book is actually pages wise. I think it's shorter than mine, but his was about 10 hours, so it was double the time, and it's because he talked like this as he read it. And I thought to myself, man, that's a little, because you can on Audible you can change the speed, so you can slow mine down if you want, or you can speed it up even. So
yeah, I mean, I just did it it was a full work day.
Right. You just throw it in. Yeah, it actually won't even fill up a work day unless you take a couple breaks and have to pause it.
Well, it filled up the work day because I had to pause it for lunch. Yeah.
Right. There you go. Well, I guess, I figure we might as well just start kind of at the beginning. You started your sail-making career here in northern Michigan at just a local shop, right?
Yeah, here in Harbor Springs, at Irish Boat Shop. I believe at the time that I started dipping my toe in the water, it was called Irish Sails, and then it switched over to I believe Northern Michigan Sails and Canvas or something like that.
Yeah. We used to use them when I was running the water sports at Michigania.
Yeah, it was Kathy Hahn who sort of adopted the loft from David Irish.
Right.
Yeah, but my God, that was I don't even know, 25 years ago.
Keep that mic nice and close there. Yeah. You've got that really low sort of smoky voice.
No, I'll get a little bit closer.
It's a great voice.
Thanks. That was like 25 years ago or something like that.
And how old were you?
Well, I started hanging around the loft because a buddy of mine, this guy Casey O'Toole, he was working there. And he started when he was 16.
Right.
So, I mean, that was like right when you're first driving a car where you can actually go to work. I don't know what the labor laws were at the time.
Right.
The kids, yeah. But he started working there, and I was just hanging around there, and he was a powerboat dude, and somehow found himself in a sail loft. So I don't know. He wasn't particularly wedded to the job. And
right.
so one winter I went and he was off at university and I was taking a break from school and got in there and was an actual real employee, and then within about 2 weeks, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Is that fast?
Yeah, it was that fast.
What
Yeah.
was it about it? Is it just the creating things and being like, oh my
There-
God, look what I did?
Well, when I reflect on it, there's a couple things, right? One is the manufacturing side of it, becoming a fabricator.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Like literally,
Creating.
Well, in the beginning, they were actually making sails there.
Yeah.
And so you would receive a bolt of cloth, which is a roll of cloth on it's 54 inches wide on a cardboard tube, and you're like, at the end of the day, this is going to become a sail. I mean,
Right.
it is like a blank piece of paper, and I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing is it was pretty chill. It was a pretty chill environment.
Yeah, right.
It was everyone
Music playing.
yeah,
like-
music playing. You got the hits on. You're just having a good time. And the other thing was it was clean. It was clean work. You're not dirty at the end of the day.
I like the desert because it's clean.
Well, we can get into that later.
I like the sail.
But I mean, you and I both know that
we know
after
it.
working at Ballard's,
Yeah, we know what dirty work is.
we know what dirty work is.
I work in a boatyard to this day. So
Yeah,
I come
exactly.
home filthy.
Exactly. And so, and it was during the winter when I started working there. I believe it was a summer then a winter, and it was also nice because you didn't leave the loft. You didn't have to go work out in the snow. You weren't outside. I mean, as cool as construction is, which hats off to those guys. This is just sort of like small construction inside.
Yeah.
Very clean.
Nice warm room.
Yeah. And there was just something also hypnotic about operating an industrial sewing machine that I don't know. It just sort of hypnotizes me. I don't know.
How long did it take to sort of learn the ropes on the sewing machine?
Well, usually you, as a sailmaker, like if you were an apprentice, like in, let's say, Europe or Australia or New Zealand, they wouldn't let you touch a machine for like a year.
Yeah.
Because if a machine goes down, the loft goes down.
Right.
It's like the rule of thumb in sailmaking is the sound of a running sewing machine is the sound of making money.
Right.
Yeah, and
If you can't hear that sound, it's not a good thing.
yeah, it's like game over. At least until you get it up and running again.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to. The term is called knock out of time. And if you knock a machine out of time, it's actually pretty complicated to get it back into time. I mean, maybe not for a sewing machine mechanic, but your average sailmaker, they'll be working on it for a couple hours. And
Yeah, I've had to do that just with my little sailrite where I've screwed it up to the point where I've had
it
to
won't pick up
go
a stitch
inside of it and replace parts. And,
Yeah. So they usually don't let you on, but because we were such a small loft, I got thrown on a machine like too sweet.
yeah.
And so I was in the pit, which is the sewing machines. For those who don't know, the sewing machines are level with the floor, so
Right.
you're actually sitting inside of a dugout, and so you can the sail moves along the floor, and so I was in the pit for like 6 months. Just sewing, just
miles of stitching.
Yeah, and that helped me because what ended up happening was I loved it enough and showed up to work enough and so stitched fast enough that one winter, Kathy, who owned the loft, she was just like, You've worked yourself out of a job. We don't have any more sails to repair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she said you fixed them all.
Yeah.
and it's still February. So in Michigan, those boats are on the hard. Until,
there's nothing going on.
There's nothing going on. And so she was like, well, I see that you really like it and blah blah blah. You might want to think of moving to a more sailing hotspot if you want to continue doing this job.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the map and I pretty much saw that I did know that I wanted to move to the East Coast, and I took a look at Annapolis, and
Hotbed of sailing activity.
yeah, and Newport, Rhode Island, and sort of I actually talked between the two, a couple of sailmakers between there. It was North Sails at the time. You know, both places, North Sails, Annapolis, North Sails, Rhode Island or Newport, and I was just like, you know what? Yeah, because at the time our grandmother was still alive, and I was like, you know what? You know, Gloucester's only an hour and a half drive or whatever. And I was like, you know what? It'll be nicer to be closer to family,
Right.
You know, and so Newport it was, you know, and that was the start of it, you know.
So a year or two at the small loft, the local place, and then you just sent your resumes out, and they picked you up.
I did actually. The phone, I peppered a lot of lofts, and the phone was actually off the hook for a couple of days with people looking for.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
it was like right time sort of thing?
Yeah. It was at the time, you know, offshore one design was really huge. You know, they had FAR 40s, MUM 30s.
Yeah.
You know,
affordable race boats.
IMX 40s, you know, and they were huge. And so
big fleets.
Big fleets. And those sails were still being built in America. You know, the offshore one design sails, and
by North mostly, right?
By North Sails, yeah. Well, I mean, if the product was so high quality at the 3DL level, which was the product at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to win, you sort of had
to. You had to have them.
Yeah,
and that was what, mid 2000?
No, that would have been. I moved out to Rhode Island October of 1999.
Oh, 99. Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then just went straight into the deep end of the pool. Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, you know, if you think of a place to cut your teeth in the sailmaking world, I would say Newport, Rhode Island, North Sails is probably the place to do it.
Oh, yeah, because it was still a manufacturing facility, which was incredible. You know, you honestly, what you ended up having is a bunch of young male college dropouts who were on the sailing team.
Yeah.
Trying to make beer money. You know, I mean, that's what it was. But everyone was an avid sailor.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, when I first moved there, we had a work schedule of it was 4 10s, right? Because the regattas all start on Friday.
Oh, right.
And so they would let everyone go sailing on Friday, you know, in order to be with the customers that you just made the sales for, and then in Newport there's a regatta every weekend.
Yeah, multiple, I would think, right?
Oh yeah. Sometimes you have to choose, you know,
yeah,
which one am I going to do? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Newport, Rhode Island was really the best thing that sort of happened to me as far as sailmaking, because you just right into the deep end.
Yeah. And how long were you there for?
I was there for 7 years.
7 years, jeez.
Yeah.
And that was when Kenny Reed was there.
Still is.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, it was Dan Neary and Kenny Reed's loft, and in fact, they had just, I believe, they had just changed over from Somstad to North Sails.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they had just been acquired by North Sails, and you know, and that was, I mean, Tom Whidden's still there, but that was, you know, the big Tom Whidden days, the Jay Hansen days, and so there was a big acquisition, you know, and so we just started automatically right out of the gate. Making 3DL offshore one design,
right?
Which is cool. I mean, the guys who were working there were all really skilled. The tolerances were extremely tight. You know, I don't think any sail didn't ever measure in. You know, it was. We were making some pretty good gear.
Not if Dolph had something to say about it.
Oh yeah, Dolph gave.
He told me a lot of stories about it. Was it pretty intimidating to just roll out there from this little sail loft?
Yeah, it was. But because I had learned how to sew so well on mediocre machines in northern Michigan, that when I jumped behind a really big machine that was well maintained, I was able to fly, and so when I showed up, they're like, you know how to stitch, and I'm like, yeah, I know how to stitch, and so I punched out a couple sails, and they're like, oh sweet dude, you know exactly what you're doing, and so I mean, for the first 9 months I didn't leave the pit.
It's like, we got it. We got one.
Oh, yeah, we got one.
Get back in your pit.
Yeah, get in your stitch hole. That's what we came up with. Get back in your stitch hole. You know. But
I can only imagine.
Yeah. You know, and so if you're able to get your foot in the door and show them that you know how to, you got good work ethic, you know, you can just go from there.
Yeah.
Right? And that's pretty much what I did. And we had some good guys on layout, which is where you actually put the sail down on the floor, like the uncut sail.
Yeah.
And you go and measure it in and make sure the geometry is correct on the sail. We had some really, really good guys.
Yeah.
And so you would work with those, and so you just start learning the ropes, going through, you know, doing all the stuff. And you know, it's sort of a process, right? So you get a blank sail, which is pretty much rough cut. Okay, and then
like approximately the shape of
the shape. And at the time, it was 3DL, which is a membrane thing that's been, you know, glued together and sandwiched. You know, it looks like a spider web,
mm-hmm.
and so that comes rough cut, you know, from Nevada, and then you measure that in, so you get the geometry correct on that rough cut. And then you make sure all the measurements and all the geometry is right. And then that's when you trim the sail. And from that trimmed membrane, which is ultimately the body of the sail,
mm-hmm.
all three corners, from there, that's when the assembly goes. And that's where you put on the corners and put on the spreader patches, put on the batten pockets, put on the numbers, put on the telltales, put on the draft stripes, you know, put on the headboard.
Stuff,
yeah, it just sort of goes through a process. And if you work in a loft like that, where you get to follow the process and sometimes change up, you can really be a really well-rounded sailmaker, which is really cool.
Yeah, because you're really involved in every step of the way.
Yeah, because we would get sails like on a Monday, the blanks, the membranes, and so there might not be anything to stitch, right? So you just start working with the guys on laying them out, and then you get a couple laid out, and then all of a sudden they get taped, which is putting those, like the leech tape, luff tape, foot tape on, stuff like that, or decoration, which is draft stripes, numbers. Telltales, logo, you know, and then and from there it's like stitch time, and so, you know, by Tuesday afternoon, you'd be like, all right, until Friday, or well, not till Friday, till Tuesday, 5 o'clock, I'm just gonna be sewing, you know, which is, it's just fine, you know. Sewing's there's something hypnotic about it.
There is. Hey, trust me, I know. I mean, when you just start with some blank little thing, and then even if you're just sewing a cover for one of your hatches or something like that. You finish it, you make these little corners, you put some snaps on it, and you're looking at it like, oh, I made
something.
Just a flat piece of cloth.
I made something. Yeah.
It makes you. I've seen a lot of people that have purchased those sail rights, you know, for their boats.
Yeah.
And initially, when they first get them, they're a little confused, a little scared, and then they learn a couple things. But the first time they make something, and usually it's a curtain, something really simple.
Of course, yeah.
I'm gonna sew, and they just start sewing all these projects because it's a lot like when you're a kid being in art class and you get a whole bunch of crayons and paints or whatever. And
it is. I've always considered sailmaking as arts and crafts gone horribly wrong.
Really, really expensive.
Yeah. I mean, the very first thing I ever made was a duffel bag. You know,
and
I actually still have it.
We've got a few of yours. I had one that I used I think it was made out of 3DL, and it was delambing.
Oh, I'm sure there's carbon in there. So you pull out a sweater and you're itching for the next 3 days.
Right?
It's like, why did I make it out of that?
A ration.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So you did 7 years there in Newport, and then. Is that when you went out to Nevada?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the tail end of my stint in Newport, I was doing sales, SALES, and that was fine. It was a good experience because the well-roundedness part of it is also in the Newport loft. There was the ability for me to get production experience.
Yeah.
And then I moved over to service experience. And at that time, they were starting to bring on big boat service, which was very important because then you have to realize that because we didn't make big boat sales in Newport. Those were made somewhere else. Those were made in like Milford, Connecticut.
That's
and
big law.
big, like we need a forklift, we need a crane, we need some heavy, this thing weighs like 1,000 pounds, spinnakers with 50-meter luff lengths, that type of shit, and so that big boat service was actually really important, and so when I jumped from production to service, that was probably a good 2 years, and then after that, there was a junior sales position open, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, because usually the sales positions are sort of they covet them, it's sort of strange. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But a sales position did open, a junior sales position did open, and so I was like, oh man, I gotta do it because you got to do all three.
Yeah.
If you want to be a badass, you got to do all three.
Right.
And I was like, this is probably the only time I'm going to get that experience because they don't let you have it in any other loft unless you've got some Olympic medal under your belt.
Right. Yeah.
Like they'll give the sales position to Olympic medalists who's never built a sail in their lives, which is fine because they know how to use the product, but hey, if I'm buying a sail, I'd really like to buy it from an actual sailmaker.
Yeah.
I used to make fun of the guys. I used to be like, well, at least when on my IRS tax return, when I put sailmaker down as occupation, I mean it. Liars.
Well, hey, go win a gold medal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm not throwing shade on any of those guys,
right.
but I just wanted to be the most well-rounded dude, and so yeah. From there, I ended up. I actually got a call because I was getting bored because the sales guy thing is actually not all it's cracked up to be.
No, sales.
It's sales.
It's
It's ass
man.
kissing.
You're trying to sell a
you're trying to sell a
product.
product. Now it was easy to sell North Sales because I actually believed in the product.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to sell some like B level stuff. Everything was A level, right? So you're just like, oh man, you just be honest with the guy. You just be honest with the customer, and they get exactly what they asked for, or you might move them in a direction that they didn't know. And the sales experience is actually really, really helpful. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on it, but I was bored.
Yeah.
just put it that way.
It was time to move on to something different.
It was time, and I had helped out with a lot of big programs while I was there in Rhode Island. I had helped out with like ABN AMRO for the Volvo. I had helped out with Mary Cha for and doing the tickle ups so they could break the transatlantic Charlie Barr's record for monohull, and there was some, and ABN AMRO went to win the Volvo. That was and there was a bunch of other boats, and I was like, and I would have these guys come in, and they're always Kiwis, always Aussies, so somewhere other than here, right?
They're sailing countries. Man.
I know they are island nations, and I would work with these guys, and I would say, how did you get on this team? How did you become a shore crew sailmaker? And they would just be like, well, you got to know people. And I was like,
connections, man.
It is connections. Yeah. And so I knew that I didn't know enough people in the like the high end race. I mean, I knew enough, but I didn't know enough people.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got a call from North Sales Nevada, which was making all these sails. They had just put in a new floor. And they're like, you want to come out and build sails? Apparently they're having a hard time finding, qualified sailmakers
to come out to the middle of the desert.
Yeah, that's a hard sell.
Hard sell there. Yeah. Talk about sales.
And I wanted to change. I knew that if I wanted to get on a Volvo shore crew or a America's Cup shore crew, that I would have to go out there
Yeah.
where the action
Build the product.
to make the shit, because that floor was brand new and there wasn't anything under 90-foot LOA that touched that floor unless you were a Volvo, because you already have an LOA mast.
Yeah, right.
Of 90 feet. And so I went out there and just started making big boat sales, production big boat sales.
And those were the type of sales where, don't they have the floor that you can curve?
The molds.
And you'd be in a hammock. People would be in hammocks.
Yeah, a hang glider hammock type. I don't know.
Right, because you basically lay a sheet of. Describe sort of the process of that, because typical sails are made out of Dacron. That's the most common,
yeah, just
right?
a Dacron roll.
These are hardcore race sails, and what are they? Mylar?
Well, no, I mean I was there for
3DL.
I was there for 2 iterations of the product, right?
Okay.
So there was 3DL when I got there, and that's Mylar sandwich with either carbon fiber, Kevlar, or another aramid, or a Spectra, or a blend, depending on what you want.
Yeah.
Because you get to customize it on what goes inside the sandwich, what goes between the 2 pieces of bread.
Yeah.
You get to customize, and so what happens is they have these big silvery looking platforms that have actuators underneath that shape. That make a mold, and you can do any shape you want, infinite amount of shapes if you wanted to.
Right.
But you want to get to the proper sailing shape. And what they do is they lay the laminate on top of it, vacuum bag it, cook it, and then pull it off. And so now you've got a seamless sail, no seams, right? No stitching.
Yeah, no, like my sails, have different
Panels, yeah,
stuff,
yeah. No, this is just one seamless mold membrane, and then you just take that, but you take that to the floor and you finish it, put the corners on, do all the standard sail making stuff like that. But it was pretty cool, because the floor there in Nevada, we only did the top tier.
Yeah.
Finishing. They would send the molded sails that they would make all over the place.
Right.
To be finished. Europe, Sri Lanka, which we had a big manufacturing facility. Just, anywhere they wanted to finish them. France, New Zealand, Australia, blah blah blah. But the ones that we finished there, those were the best ones. In fact, the boss of the place, this guy Dan Nierak, great guy. I felt that sometimes maybe they were cherry picking the top, the coolest projects to be finished there. So it was cool. It was cool, and we had a good group of people and stuff. But I mean, it was hard work. I mean, it's pretty. Once the sales start, it sort of goes through like a graph. What's it called? Like exponential. The bigger they get, oh my God, they start getting really heavy.
Oh, I can imagine. What's the biggest sale you've ever worked on? Non-Spinnaker.
I think it was maybe. Well, it was definitely the main sales for BMW Oracle.
Oh yeah, geez, I forgot. About that.
Yeah, because we had it's like a 53 and then a 58 meter mast, and then. I mean, I believe the biggest main sale that I worked on for them was like 1,800 pounds.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, and we were making it as light as possible.
Yeah, it's just absolutely massive.
Yeah, no, there was battens that went in there that looked like carbon fiber 2x4s.
Yeah, right.
You'd hear guys, some of the sailors being like, because we put purchase systems on the back end, the leech end of the batten pocket.
Yeah.
In order to get tension, and we'd do like a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1, and they're like, you still can't get enough.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, you still can't get enough.
Well, that always struck me, because I remember going from just dealing with boats up to like 20 feet for so many years, and then starting to work on bigger boats and just seeing the size of, everything from just a shackle
Yeah.
to a pulley to the size line that you use, and always being amazed at how the scale, as it scales up, you're just like, oh my God, it's the exact same thing. It's just way bigger.
Which is way bigger. Yeah.
Got to maintain so much more load.
No, it's actually quite funny because when you do deal with big boats,
Yeah.
if you're proficient on a small boat, then you can be proficient on a big boat.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just you just got to understand that everything's just gigantic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I don't know exactly what I'm not a designer. I don't even claim to be, but I think they try to do stuff at like 3 times safety. 3 to 5 times safety.
What does that mean?
That means you're expecting it to break 3 times.
Oh,
more
right.
than what it's supposed to be used at.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, but I mean, some of that stuff is just do not get hit in the head with that.
Oh God, I know.
My first big boat sailing experience was on a 97 footer in Newport, and the owner wasn't on board. It was for I believe it was for the first Newport bucket, and
that wasn't Couture, was it?
No, it was. It had a French female name. Okay. It was just standard. I believe the guys from Northrop Johnson.
Were just a maxi.
Yeah, or something. And no, it was cruising boat. It was a cruiser.
What kind was it?
97. But it was a sloop. I do know that. Right. I can't. I really don't remember quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it was funny because when we were one of the mid-mast guys was like, "Hey, you guys, for those who haven't done big boat, just like watch out for those sheets because when that Genoa comes around, they will take your head off."
Yeah.
And sure as shit, dude, he got smacked with the sheet right in his sunglasses, and they just went flying. And the guy telling you, don't get hit with the sheet, got hit with the sheet.
Yeah,
so it's like, all right, well, this guy knows what he's doing, and he still got hit with the sheet. I'm like, I'm being safe on the the big boat stuff. Yeah, it's intimidating, but you just got to be careful.
Oh yeah,
but,
you have to follow the proper sequence of doing things. That on little boats you can get away with a lot because you can muscle through it.
Yeah,
but a big boat you definitely can't.
Yeah, you can't put up your hand to stop a sheet from smacking you in the face because then your hand is now smacking you in the face. Exactly. But the other cool thing though about the big boat stuff is that you figure out really quickly is that everything is like 2 miles down the road. Planning, everyone's head is 2 miles down the road.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah,
it really has to be. And and most of that stuff's pretty Corinthian. So it's not like people just freaking tacking on people,
No, not with the price tag.
Not with those price tags. I mean, they do a little bit of that in the J-boat class, like proper J-boat class.
Yeah,
but it's pretty much frowned upon because it's fucking dangerous,
Oh yeah, well, people get
die.
Injured. I mean, when I remember seeing that little clip of the 2 J-boats that hit.
Sevilla and the other one
where it kind of runs right up on
right
it.
In the transom.
Yeah, the price tag on that, I couldn't even imagine how much that would cost.
Well, and the other thing too is if you cause damage, like it's not like an F1 car where you can just change out the front wing. That thing's going on the hard now.
It's
you now all that money you spent to fly all those people and house all those people. Guess what? Race is over. The regatta's over. So it's like, I'm sure some of the crew are just like, great, and they just get to sit on the beach and get tanked.
You're in Antigua.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the same parts. Let's go to the beach.
Well, and then sort of the last place really that you were working was out in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. I went. Well, no. I mean, so when I was on BMW Oracle, that was just that cup, right? The 32nd America's Cup, and so I was in San Diego. I was going back and forth between San Diego and.
How did you get on that team?
Because this is how you do it. Okay, the guys came out there from BMW Oracle.
Uh-huh.
So their shore cruise sailmaking team came out there. Okay, and a lot of them didn't have that much like mega yacht experience, and these boats were big. I mean, they're 114 by 90 feet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's massive, and so a lot of the guys were really, really good sailmakers. A lot of the guys were career America's Cup sailmakers, but they hadn't worked on gear that big.
Yeah.
And so people breaking needles, it's difficult, unless you've had a lot of practice at it. And so what do? You go get drunk with them.
Yeah,
You go to the bar, you meet them, become friends with them and stuff like that. And at the same time, I had a buddy of mine who was on a lingy, and I was trying to get a job out there. Because remember, the whole goal going to Nevada was Volvo short crew a short team. And so I was talking to them, lingy, and and they sent me a contract to go out to Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And build sails out there. And I still have the contract. It's a great contract. Jesus.
I wonder if you would have gone out to that, if they would have won the cup.
Doubtful.
Doubtful. You never know.
Doubtful.
You could have been the linchpin.
No, I think the wing was the linchpin in that America's Cup. But anyways, the guys at Oracle knew I had an Olingi contract, and it just hadn't been finalized yet because they were in like some legal battle, and so they were just like, just stay put at North Sails.
Right.
We'll, as soon as we get this legal shit sorted out, between the two teams, come out to Switzerland. And the guys at Oracle were like, great, we've got an Olingi guy on our floor. Like looking at the sails that we're having molded on those flexible molds, right?
Right.
And they're like, we can't have that.
Pick them up.
Well, that was pretty much the thing. It was like, well, then you hire him then.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't committed to Olingi yet because of the whole legal bullshit. So it's either you pick him up or it's your problem.
Yeah.
Because North Sails wasn't going to get involved.
Right. Oh yeah.
Not to petty shit. Yeah.
I don't just one cup.
I don't even know what I'm looking at on the mold. I mean, it's some designer somewhere.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
crunching numbers.
But still, there's paranoia.
Well, I think it's like where are they putting that reef?
Yeah, exactly.
Shit like that. And so BMW Oracle, the guy, this guy Craig Phillips and Dan Nieri took me out to lunch one day, and they were just like, do you want to be on the team? And Dan Nieri is like, wait, there's a caveat to this. I went away to Antigua for a season, and because they knew it would cause problems if I got hired directly off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went away to Antigua for 2009 sailing season, to help Andrew Dove, great guy. If you're ever in Antigua, tell Andrew I said hi. And so when I was in Antigua, I got a call because they knew I was coming back. Because once Antigua's sailing season's over, you got to get out of there. Hurricanes.
No, the Caribbean season's a wintertime thing, and then
and then it just crumbles.
Well, I've stayed down there once during like the whole hurricane season stuff. Hey, it's a different sort of place. It's kind of cool.
Just once? I thought you did. I thought you did a couple times.
Well, I mean, I was down there for 10.5 to 11 months a year for many years, but there was one year, I think it was after Hurricane Earl or something, where there needed to be a ton of work done without any guests at the resort.
Oh, okay.
And so I stayed down there through September and all that, and it was cool. It's just
how many hurricanes you sit out?
Oh, only like 2. Something like that.
But was one of them pretty big, though, right?
I think it was Hurricane Irene, the one that burnt down Richard Branson's house. We were at that one. That was pretty. It wasn't bad by any means. Ramps was down there during that one.
I think. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
I had a friend of mine down, and I was, 3 days into it. All of a sudden, there's this hurricane that turned a little north, and it was going to hit us. And it was only a Cat 1, I think. We actually went like swimming and stuff like that. It was
Playing in the waves.
Yeah.
Let's take a whaler out.
I had to. Well, it was kind of this. Oh, man, we pull all the boats out at the boatyard, the big boats we have, but we have an Express 37. And I had asked.
Is that the Cosmic Warlord?
Cosmic Warlord, yeah. And it's an old 85 or 1985 like race boat, really slick.
Oh yeah, no, those are great boats. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the season, I had asked. I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I'm going to be here for a while? Can I keep that boat in the water for an extra week and then haul it out then?"
Yeah, haul it out
and
last.
it just happened to be that the hurricane came during that time, so I put it out on the biggest mooring we had, the big hurricane mooring. But the whole time this storm is going on, which is about 24 hours, I'm having to watch this boat.
That you insisted on leaving.
Keeping, that I had to do all the safety, the chafing gear, all that. And I remember when I think it was the eye came over, there was just this little break in the storm. And I zipped out there to just go check the bilge, make sure it wasn't filling up. It was all good, and I came back in. But there were times where, I'm seeing it, and it would heal over well past 45 degrees with the gusts. And I'm just like, why did I do that? I was like, never again.
Just under bare poles.
Oh,
I'm responsible for this boat.
I hated it, and you couldn't help but look. You'd always look out in the bay, and it was the only boat that was out there. And I'm just like, oh, it's my fault.
What have I done?
Because if it breaks free, there's just nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
You can't.
You can. There's one thing you can do.
So you're done.
You can just watch.
You can watch. Probably record it.
Show your friends the foolish mistake you made.
But yeah, so back to sort of the chain of events. Then after Oracle and after all that, then you wind up out in Sausalito.
Yeah. I was actually, after Oracle ended, those boats shrunk in size, and they had wings now. Mm-hmm. So it was really slim pickings to get on a team unless you had been there for 3 cups. Right. And I was my first one. I was a freshman. I was a freshman. And so I went out to California sort of to chase the cup, but also I knew that I was done with Nevada. I just put a sailor in the desert. It's not going to work.
It's not going to last.
Yeah. I mean, it lasted for like 4 years. It was good, great experience. I don't discount any of that, but it was, man, the desert. Yeah, it's not great.
It's a different place.
It's a different place, and so I saw maybe an opportunity for another cup. Maybe, if not, still San
Francisco,
Marin County.
I mean, I would say that's probably the sailing mecca on the West Coast.
Oh, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
It's that in San Diego, really.
Yeah, in San Diego, it's like Annapolis. It is dead calm all the time. San Francisco is some serious.
It's blowing.
It's blowing to the point sometimes it's annoying.
Yeah, I know.
It's like calm down a little bit.
It's definitely known as being a really blustery bay.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there's races out there that have killed people.
So I don't doubt it.
Yeah. But I saw it as a good opportunity. They needed help, and I had now met so many people at North Sales.
Oh, the connections after that many years must have been.
Yeah,
insane.
well, there was actually the sales stuff. This like when I went on boat shows selling that. It was the online sale stuff, and I was a representative of that. So if you measured your own boat and didn't deal with a salesman, you could get around 20-25% off your sale for a boat under like 38 feet.
Yeah.
And so I was pushing that product. So that meant I had to go to all of the boat shows.
Right.
And I did that for 3 years. And at every boat show, there's a North Sales booth. And so I'd be the transient guy because you'd have the local reps.
Yeah.
And then you'd have me as we were trying to push this online thing because, of course, everything was going online in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And so everyone takes advantage of that, including North Sales. And I got to meet everybody that way. and go out and have dinner and party and have a good time. Everyone treats the boat show as a little bit of a party.
Oh, it definitely is.
You
I've
know,
done a
it
couple.
definitely
For
is.
Britain,
Yeah. If I hear Southern Cross one more time, I'm gonna put a gun to my head. But I mean, or any Jimmy Buffett song, I'm just gonna just shoot myself in the face. But you do get a lot of connections, and so I made connections out there. I worked well with those guys at the boat show, and so I knew that they needed a little help, and so I went out there and started working with them.
Yeah.
And that was good. It was. Listen, Marin County, freaking hands down, probably one of the coolest places on the planet.
Yeah.
If you can afford it.
Right. Yeah.
And at a time I could just sort of scooch by. It was just affordable.
Yeah, right.
But it didn't really matter because it's San Francisco in general is such a great place that you just do your damnedest to stay out there as long as you can.
Right. Well, you got to see it before sort of the chaos, which is taking place now.
Well, I had went out there right after the crash.
Oh, the 2008 crash.
Yeah. So I saw that. I saw the crash in Nevada, and the beauty of being in Nevada during the crash was the mega rich who were buying those massive sails.
Yeah,
they didn't stop buying that.
They
shit.
didn't stop buying them.
No, they didn't.
It's like the mid level.
Yeah, everyone else got it in the butt, but they're like, shave off $1 billion, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going sailing no matter what.
Yeah, right.
And so I came out there after the crash. So rents had dropped a little bit. My wife Ina, she had mentioned because she had been working in tech, and she had mentioned before I met her that during the crash, downtown San Francisco looked like an absolute ghost town.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
Like a zombie movie.
Jeez.
So luckily I missed that, but I arrived right before things started picking up. So it was affordable.
Yeah. It was doable.
Air quotes.
Right.
Affordable. Yeah.
And that was pretty much. Were you doing mostly like repairs, or were you building sails there?
All repair. Every once in a while, I'd build a rush sail for somebody like a J111 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a headsail or something.
Nothing huge,
but still technical.
Right. Oh yeah, you got to make them perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's J111. It's got to fit. It's got to measure in. These are one design sails.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, but I also subsidized a lot of my activities with like being the commando sailmaker on call, which was great because that took me to places like doing St. Bart's bucket.
Oh, bucket, yeah.
Yeah, the bucket down there. I'd go down there every year with a crack group of guys, and we'd just bang out massive mega yacht repairs, the entire weekend, or the week, get flown down to St. Martin, doing a lot of Caribbean stuff.
Key West.
No, Key West was actually in the Rhode Island days where I used to run that service loft. Oh my God, what a shit show that was. That was.
Wasn't there one year where it just blew like crazy?
Yeah, I think it was I think it was 2006, either 2006 or 2005. We were in this. It was Michelle Geslin's loft, and she's since passed, and I don't even think it's a loft anymore. And it was just up above a supermarket, little tiny. Postage stamp of a loft, and one year we had processed 366 invoices.
No, in
5 days.
In 5 days, jeez.
In 5 days. I mean, I'm not going to go into how much money we made her, but you would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because it was rush jobs, and we're paying Regatta overnight prices, that's what we're charging.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it is.
So were you
not
working
standard
like 20
service.
hours a day?
One day was a full 24.
Yeah.
Another day was an 18. I made a massive mistake of bringing a girlfriend of mine down there with me during one of those, and she was just like, "What is this?" He's like, you live here, so I'm not seeing you while you're here. I'm like, I guess not this year.
No, get out there, enjoy the beaches.
Exactly, But I think it was like,
Probably should have told her that before you went down there.
never bring a spouse on a work trip. Never do that.
Words to live by.
That is words to live by. That is the stupidest mistake you can possibly make. Yeah, just go there, get your work done, get the fuck out, get back home.
Yeah, there you go.
But where were we?
No, just now I think that sort of coincides with the timeline, and then obviously you went down to St. Pete where you live now.
Yeah,
and then you're off doing sort of some of this other stuff, but you can't really talk about that, can you?
No, I actually can. I
sure.
can.
You don't want, I don't want to get you in trouble. Or
No. We've already they've already okayed a bunch of stuff for social media. I mean,
they have.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they have. Yeah.
So where are you now?
Well, after I went to St. Pete because I finally crumpled to the expensiveness of the Bay Area. Yeah. And I miss it so much. But so St. Pete sounded like a great place. I'd been there before, been there boat shows. I had 2 friends down there. I was asking them how they were doing. They were both sail making. Seemed like a great opportunity. My wife. She's an executive accountant or senior accountant, so she can pretty much pick up work wherever. Might as well be a doctor, lawyer.
She's super smart.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, Sisterina.
Yeah, where I was more of having to pick and choose certain locations based on the boating community.
Yeah.
And so, but St. Pete sounded like a great idea, and so went down there, worked for just the biggest joke failure of a loft that I've ever seen in my entire life of all sail making. And I had a friend there who he got me into the job. We were paid shit. It was a nightmare.
She's like, I've been doing this for 20 years.
The owner was a fucking raging alcoholic. It was just mismanaged right into the ground. I used to just bite my tongue because I knew it was going to fail.
Yeah.
And I was just constantly trying to think what my next move would be, because I knew this was failing.
Yeah.
And I had friends there who were working there who didn't have that mindset, right? You weren't constantly thinking about, okay, when this fails, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
My wife had already established a position of employment there. And so I remember one of my buddies who unfortunately was working for this clown of a corporation, and he's like, fuck this! I can't believe this is happening. This is just failing so quick. And it was a blueprint for a really good loft. Everything was there.
Yeah.
It had all the stuff. It was just mismanaged, straight into the ground, augured right in. And and I was looking at one of my buddies, and I said to him, dude, do you realize they don't even have a class at Harvard that can teach you and warn you from this type of mismanagement? We are getting a master class in what not to do.
Yeah.
Like everything that these people did, if you would have just done the opposite, you would have been a success.
Hey, sometimes a bad example, you're going to learn a whole lot more from that than you would a good example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Be a lighthouse.
Yeah, right.
Be like, stay off these rocks, man.
What's happening to me? See?
See? Oh yeah. It was a joke. But because of that, I ended up sort of where I am now, because the guys at Doyle, it was because I'd moved from Doyle, or from North Sales to Doyle, and but the loft in St. Pete was an independent loft. I'm not. There's no logo associated with them.
Right.
But it was just a different brand, but it was independent. It had nothing to do with the management of any other company.
Yeah.
And
you're covered, bro.
Yeah. And but the beauty of going there and having friends at the Doyle brand is that when that did fold like a lawn chair, the Doyle guys were like, "Well, hey man, we can't. You're not going to be sleeping on the streets. We've got stuff for you to do."
Yeah.
And so what I ended up doing is spending like 2 weeks a month up in Salem, Massachusetts. Right back to
so
building.
there's a lot of moving around.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement around.
Yeah.
No, I actually did the math the other day, and I've lived in 20% of the United States.
Wow, holy smokes!
Yeah, 10 states. Yeah,
That's pretty cool though. At least you get all these different sort of experiences.
Well, you do, and you know what is shit and what is good.
Yeah.
You know, like
so you can avoid.
You can avoid, it's like I particularly I'm fond for of course water states, but I've lived in enough landlocked places, to understand what the different vibes are. I mean, sailmaking has actually taken me quite far, as far as geography goes.
Yeah.
But so anyways, I was working with the guys in Salem, but then COVID hit. And since Doyle, they're owned by the Kiwis. We were one of the first companies I heard of to stop travel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I couldn't go between St. Pete and Salem, Massachusetts anymore, and so I was like SOL for a little bit,
right.
And I think it was the first time in my life ever that I collected unemployment. Which in Florida is a joke.
Yeah.
It was like $247 a week or something, or a month.
Probably a week. A month would have been stretched.
Yeah, it was something that you can't exist on.
Yeah. Well, I had to go on it I think I was on it for 2 months maybe or something, because after it hit me when I was in the middle of doing a book tour and speaking stuff, and one day I had like 7 bookings in the following 2 months, and the next day I had none.
Yeah, 0.
All kids.
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to fly out and do one for Facebook. That was going to be like the big one. Fly out to San Francisco, first class.
Kick to the throat, dude. I can't breathe.
Down in a fiery ball.
Oh, that sucks,
but,
dude.
hey, with all that, the thing I always say is some people had to deal with much worse than I did. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just sort of sucked for everybody.
Yeah.
But
so you're down and out. You're on unemployment. You're probably starting to do. Are you stealing stuff yet?
No, not yet.
Stealing cars?
No, but I'm running up debt.
Yeah, right.
Just like everybody else. Luckily my wife was gainfully employed at a place that's definitely not shutting down anytime soon. But I was shut down.
Yeah.
And I was on a contract basis, so Svenny don't work, Svenny don't get paid, and hence why I was on unemployment. And luckily though, I was reaching out to one of the guys at Doyle, and I said, man, guys, you got to help me here. What am I going to do? Is there something here? Is there something in the U.S.? And they said, give this guy Andrew Ham a call, and I did, and it turned out to be aerospace, and. Now I'm in New Mexico, unfortunately, splitting my time between Florida and New Mexico, but turned out to be just an absolutely incredible experience. Still is. I mean, I still work for them.
Yeah. And what are you doing?
I'm doing. We're building airships.
Futuristic blips.
Yeah, we're building stratospheric airships, stuff that gets launched, from the ground and then goes up and hopefully stays as long as you can get it to stay in the stratosphere, around 65,000 feet.
Jeez. And it's all out of sail material and it's
Well, at this point,
concepts are still.
Well, I mean, which are essentially, I've now worked with almost every fabric imaginable, every high performance fabric, high performance textile, right? And so because of all those years of working with high performance textiles, the translation is like 99% into doing this, because essentially what I'm building is most of the time is a spinnaker that sort of touches itself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a closed thing, but it's all the lightest of the light, the strongest of the strong, and there's nothing lost in translation.
Yeah.
In fact, there's 5 America's Cup guys, ex-America's Cup guys
that are working on the team.
On the team, yeah. I mean, that's how much it translates.
Yeah.
You know, and so that saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, getting
that
that job. It was fantastic. It still is. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity. It's just super high tech, super fun. You know, I mean, I tried to get you to come out there, you know, but ended up with our brother Adam. So I mean, keep it in the family. You know, our cousin Chris, he's doing machining. For him. Yeah, you know, but they're big. It's big gear. And that's the other thing that helps translate. You know, I would figure that the guys who wrench on like F1 cars, you know, they win at 18 to like a Ferrari dealership, and we're just like, I'll just empty the trash every day until I finally get to turn a wrench.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're like changing tires at an F1 stop.
Right.
You know,
well, it is. Yeah. The world takes you all over the place as long as you're, you know,
you do have to have some focus on exactly what you want to do.
Focus, drive, willing to just put in the hours.
And do the shit job.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of the work's really hard work.
Oh yeah.
You know, I can't tell you how much I walk a day, you know, because I'm sticking these seams that are at, you know, at sometimes like 37 meters.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to prep the thing. You're on your feet all day. It's, you know, it's not. It's not just sit and listen to podcasts behind a sewing machine. No, it ain't that. Yeah, you know. But if you're willing to do it, you know, you can get some opportunities that pay well. You just got to be willing to take the shit job every once in a while and let people know that you did it.
Yeah,
that helps too. I'm the one who did the shit job.
Yep, I did it. I did it. Willing and able.
Willing and able. You got another one? Sign me up. Don't do it.
Well, what sort of has been? I guess. Do you have any highlights from your career in sailmaking?
Well, I mean, drinking champagne, Veuve Clicquot out of the fucking America's Cup. That's pretty.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Yeah, taking a mouthful of bubbly out of that thing. Yeah, I mean that was cool. I think you know what the coolest thing is for a while there, because we were working on really, you know, frontline sales for frontline boats,
like cutting edge,
just the cutting edge, the brand new stuff. Is it like every time you saw a sailing magazine in the lunchroom? Yeah, there'd be your work right on the front.
Right.
Cover.
Yeah, I can remember you always saying like, "Oh yeah, I did that one."
Every time. Yeah, every time. And I think that was just sort of cool. You know, it's like because it never stopped coming.
Yeah, right.
Every issue there'd be like, you know, pick a sailing magazine, pick Seahorse, Yachting World, Sail, you know, Sailing, you know, any of those. It would be Latitude 38, you know, it'd just be on there, you know, some of your work, you know, whether it was like just graphics or you actually built the sail or did some of, you know, were a participant in the team on how to, you know, get that boat on that cover. So it was cool.
What's been one of the most nightmare things you've had to deal with?
I'll tell you exactly what the most nightmare thing I had to do. Yeah, I got sent down to Rio de Janeiro, and had to fix a luff tape because the batten pockets on a mega yacht, a 37-meter boat, had started to chew through the forward ends, the luff ends, and so the batten pockets needed to be repaired, and we did this with something like maybe a little bit bigger than a sail, right?
Oh, jeez.
All right, and in a loft the size of, this basement. Describe this basement, Jerome. I mean, tiny, with people who did not speak English, and I did not speak Portuguese. Yeah. And then when we started to go to hand stitch some of the things where the sewing machine wouldn't get to, like we're driving awls through the material in order to make a pass through. To put a hand sewing needle. And I come to find out that inside this sail loft, there's only 3 rusted hand sewing needles, and we've just broken 2. and this is like day 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been so like, I've never taken on a project where I thought I might fail. I'll always take on any project.
Yeah.
But I've never been involved in one where I thought I'd fail.
Yeah.
And I thought I would fail.
That one you're just gonna have to throw up the white flag.
I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do here. I'm like, I can't get any better than. I can't help.
Yeah,
we're just standing around staring at this sail.
Staring at these broken
because once you pull the sail apart, now it's unusable.
Yeah.
So the problem was getting it back together again.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and it was an absolute nightmare. It was just an absolute nightmare. I remember driving. The boat was located like 2 hours south of Rio. And we drove down again with my crew of people who don't speak English and I don't speak Portuguese. A crew of 3 guys. And we go to put the sail back on the boat. And I remember like the crew helped, but they weren't a big help. And the captain was really insistent on inspecting every last inch of the sail, like I had done something wrong. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just here to help you, man. Help me.
Right.
Let me get the fuck out of here. And I remember getting that once we got that sail on. I mean, all 4 of us were just absolutely starving. And we pulled into some gas station. I was eating like a Brazilian gas station hamburger. And I saw
pretty good.
It was actually better than an American one.
Good. Yeah, right.
And I saw a 4-pack of Stella. And I was just like, this is my ride home.
Gimme. Yeah, right. No drinking and driving laws down there, I can imagine.
Well, I was past. Oh yeah, there's no laws. Period.
Oh yeah. There's a few places in South America that I would like to see someday, but not a whole. Brazil doesn't really appeal to me much.
Well, Rio is cool, but I was located like next to the yacht club.
Yeah,
and that's in a really nice part of Rio. It's really safe.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so, but there is this disgusting disparity between rich and poor, man, there.
Sure.
And okay, so I got to hang out in the rich place for a while. But I where the guys that I worked with, where they were living, I'm sure don't be on the street after sunset.
Is it great?
It's not Makati or Manila, but it's still pretty.
Well, I still remember when I was working in the British Virgin Islands at the bitter end, and you showed up after. I had to have been the bucket.
No, it was after Antigua, wasn't it?
It was one of the two, and you showed up. You looked like you hadn't slept in like 3 days.
Oh, that would have been a bucket.
You looked so depleted because you had been on one of the those little crews that go down and just do all the repairs for the regatta.
Yeah, overnights, just where it's
my
God,
yeah. You had like a 12-pack or 24-pack of beer, and I don't think you moved from my porch.
No, I don't think I did either. I just sat there, just grabbing them out of a cooler.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, it kicks your fucking ass. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, it's good. I mean, those kinds of jobs, you get paid cash, right? So you're just down there for a money grab.
Yeah.
And it's
well, I guess.
But it's good to keep your name out there as well, because I mean, all the big boats come.
Yeah.
So it's like they see you. They say, "Hey, Sven," from last year. "Hey, wow, hey, what's up, man?" And so it's good. But ooh, what an ass kicking! At 4 a.m, just on your last thread, and just worked and covered in salt from all the wet sails. And then
I mean, you looked totally depleted.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah,
but that's what carves character into people.
It's a tough job. Yeah, it's a tough job. It's funny because I would have probably kept going down there only if it was the same like group of guys like Eric Wakefield and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when you hear the story, we don't do it anymore because they wanted to send in a new team, sort of get them some experience. But it's funny. They don't last very long.
No.
No, they do
burns
maybe
you out
one or two max, and they're like, fuck this. I'm not doing this shit.
You gotta have a heart of stone to go down there.
Hey, you just got to go down there and just be greedy as hell and be like, I'm coming down here for money, man.
Yeah.
I need the money.
Well, and the whole time there's the allure of all this partying and all.
There's
this
no
beautiful
partying.
Destination.
There's no partying.
Yeah, but it's happening. You're just not there.
Oh, yeah, you're not a part of it.
No.
Yeah, you see it. It's across the bay.
But if you're a young buck going down there,
you
you're like,
think
oh,
it.
can I?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Think I can? Yeah, and it's like, no.
No, you're here to
See
work.
that pile? See that pile of
See
sales?
that pile of sales? See that pile of wet sales?
Well, do you have? I guess because I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure I got a lot of sailors that listen to this podcast that own their own boats and everything.
Yeah.
You got any sort of top tips for us old guys that use the old Dacron and
Absolutely.
what would you say to somebody who? Because a lot of people look at their sales; they're a few years old or whatever, and they're. The questions I always hear is, I don't know if the sale's any good. Should I send it to a repair place? Should I just get new ones? Where can I get new ones?
Well, I mean, if you're in a place that's like a sailing sort of where there's a lot of boats,
yeah,
odds are there's a loft somewhere nearby.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like taking care of your sales and stuff like that. I mean, when buying sales, if you buy from a reputable company such as Quantum, Doyle, or North Sales or something like that, you're probably going to get a really standard product, especially if it's cross-cut Dacron.
It'll last.
10,
15 years, depending on what you do with
probably. But the problem is with the cross-cut Dacron is it loses its shape real quickly. And we're talking like in a couple of years, it's efficient sailing shape.
Right.
Now, if you're just beam reaching around all day.
If you're not racing, but you've got your cruising boat.
Well, the flip side of that coin is if you do have a cruising boat and you are trying to make head to wind, and you're going to be there for a couple of days, yes, that sail shape does make a difference.
Yeah,
it can shave off a day off your time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But if you're beam reaching on the weekends with your wife, it doesn't really matter. But if you're a serious sailor, or if you want your boat to be tight and upwind, you're going to have to either get a certain product like a paneled sail or a laminate sail. Because the crosscut Dacron just loses its shape so quick.
Well, what sort of sail material for somebody who owns a boat that like me? Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm not planning on doing a big voyage. I'm planning on doing the Caribbean in the winter and bring it up to New England in the summer, but be on the boat and be using it. And I wanted new sails. What sort of thing would you? I guess recommend as far as cost, something that wouldn't kill you as far as cost, but would last for a long time.
Definitely don't go with the crosscut Dacron.
What would you go with?
I would go with like either paneled laminate, like a tri-radial laminate.
Tri-radial. That's what mine on Sparrow is.
Those are the ones that we built for you.
Yeah.
Yours aren't laminate. Yours are woven, but
right.
they have Dyneema in it. So they're just as expensive, if not even more expensive than
right. Well,
than
and they're also
laminate.
really heavy. They're
they are
ounce,
because we built them like brick shit houses.
Yeah, but they're Southern Ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so.
You're going around the world.
Different.
I would go with as light of a cruising laminate tri-radial panel, sail as I could. You might want to beef it up one weight if you're going to do some, Caribbean and back type of thing.
Yeah.
Or if you're just a guy who's going out every weekend, not missing a weekend because your sailing season, you got New England sailing season or Michigan sailing season. You got to get out there, man, if you're going to enjoy your boat. I think that's your best investment, and those sails can last a really long time.
How long would you expect out of getting out of one? Well, maybe not in years, but miles.
It's there's a bunch of variables there.
50,000 though. I mean, ballpark.
I don't know. I'd be scared to give it.
Say it.
Yeah, because it depends on your sail handling.
Yeah.
How are you using your sail?
Yeah, are you luffing it out like crazy?
Exactly.
Or are you reefing it all the time?
The biggest thing, if a cruising guy who's using their boat occasionally really wants to save their money and get the most out of their sails, if you're not going sailing for a couple months, take your sails down. That's it.
Don't take them completely off the boom. Everything.
Take everything off.
Put them in a bag and
put them in your garage. Put them someplace where a dehumidifier is running. Maybe.
Yeah.
The number one sail problem that we see is ultraviolet radiation.
Yeah.
That
sun damage.
The sun wins every time.
Cover those sails, guys. Cover them.
You have to. You have to take your head sails down. Just because you have a strip of sunbrella or UV Dacron on the leech of your Genoa or your jib, don't think for a second that it's not killing it.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
And when it rains, if you don't think there's algae going to be growing, oh yeah, there is. It's happening while you sleep.
So even if you've got a roller furling headsail, if you're parking up in Beaufort, South Carolina,
and you're there for 2 months,
and
you
you're
take
there
that
for
thing
a couple
down
months, take it down, put it in a bag
every
get it
time,
off the boat,
every time,
yeah.
and don't be lazy. I can go and bend on a 45-foot head sail with a 15-year-old girl.
With one hand tied behind your
with
back.
one hand tied behind my back. It takes all of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy. You know, it just keep the sails out of the sun. If you're not going sailing, don't leave them up. Just go bare poles. You know, and the mainsail can sometimes be a little bit of a harder deal. And if you've got a good mainsail cover, you should be fine.
Right,
you should be fine. But get that head sail down. Get it down. People come into me. I total. When someone comes into me with a sail and I have to inspect it, most of the time I end up having to total them.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, "Oh, can't you fix it?" I'm like, "There's nothing here to fix."
Yeah. Well, see, a lot of people, and there was a little sail off down where I was, and all these other sort of new sailors were coming in, and they'd have a few tears or this or that in one of their sails. They'd take it to the loft and they'd come back and be like, yeah, he told me there's really nothing for him to fix because the whole thing is gone.
Yeah.
It is, you know, it's sort of like it rots out to a point where you can put a patch on top of that material, but it's just going to tear that material out.
At the edge.
Yeah.
The edge of where that patch is.
Right.
Yeah. No, I tell customers this all the time. I'm like, you can't bring a dead dog to the vet. You're like, I want one more game of fetch. I want one more.
Okay.
I just want to throw the stick one more time. It's like the vet's going to look at you like you got a third head.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just, you can't do it.
If you're out there and you get a little tear or something like that, you start to see some wear and tear, what would you recommend somebody do if they just needed to do it on their own for a little bit?
Well, I mean, if you're out at sea even if you're just sailing around any bay, it's always good to have a couple things on board. If you catch something on something like. If you catch the foot of your
on a barb on a stanchion or something.
Like some of the wiring might have got a sharp edge or something like that, and you get like a little tear.
Yeah,
it's always nice to have that sticky back.
Yeah,
and there's different weights of that. Like you can be like, hey man, can you give me some woven Spectra, which is PSA, which stands for pressure sensitive adhesive, and so all that stuff's PSA. So you rub it down, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do an onboard repair, the best thing you can do, I mean, if it's a small tear, it's not in a high load bearing area. What you can do is I always recommend have a little acetone on board.
Always use the acetone.
Always use it. Yeah, always use the acetone. And if you clean a spot on a sail, and you don't even have to do both sides sometimes.
Yeah.
Because the stuff's so aggressive, but it's got to be clean. It has to be clean.
If it has even a hint of salt,
forget about it.
It's just gonna fly. The minute you put it up, it's just gonna fly.
Like when those sails are clean. I mean, we put those numbers on there, the logos and the numbers on there. I've seen sails 20 years old. That stuff ain't coming off.
And it's flapping in the breeze.
It is, they're flogging.
That definitely says something.
They're 5 seconds early to the start, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised the telltales are even there at that point.
Right.
Yeah, and so if you get it clean and you put something on there, and then that should keep it going for a while. But I recommend everybody take their sails in once to 2 times a season. It depends on how much you use it. It's like if I had a track car, right, I'd be changing tires all the time.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The sails are the engine and the tire of your boat. Okay, so if you are revving it up and peeling out, well, guess what? Your tires aren't going to last so long, But if you maintain, take care, and buy a product that's suitable for your boat and your sailing style, then they can last for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you walk away from your boat and you don't use your boat and you just leave your sails out, they're just gonna rot in the wind. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, do most sailmaker or sail lofts you could take your sails in and say, hey, can you just inspect these? And
absolutely. Yeah. No,
okay.
we got guys all the time. They're just like, we're doing the annual.
Right.
A lot of people take their sails in too just to get them cleaned, which I don't particularly recommend.
Why would you do that? Just go out to sea, because the mix of
sun,
a sail in the sun and in the salt. That the Mighty Sparrow, the guy that fixed it bought it at auction because it was sunk in a hurricane in a river in Florida, and so it was filled with mud and muck and water, and all the sails were completely just filthy. And there's old pictures I have of when Dad and I did the initial sail, and it was brown. The friggin' mainsail was brown. Now it's just gleaming white. The original one.
You used it
because I probably put 25,000 miles on it, and it's just bleaching in the sun. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, we get a bunch of guys who really want bright white sails.
Yeah.
But
if you get rust on your sail, which is pretty common because it's flaked over an old rusty bolt or something.
Of course.
How can you get that out?
They do make a product called a rusticator, and
it won't damage the material.
No, because once it starts dissolving the rust stain, you hit it with water and it neutralizes. I believe it's muriatic acid.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but there is a product called e-rusticator, but the nice thing is once it's you'll stand over it and the rust will disappear in front of your eyes.
Yeah,
and then the moment it's disappeared, you just toss a bucket of water on it,
right,
and then it's gone, and then it's so diluted by that point it might as well just be vinegar. Yeah, so it's not a big deal. But I just I don't recommend cleaning sails all that often because it's actually pretty brutal. On the fabric.
It's like cleaning a rare coin. You don't do it.
Yeah, you don't do it. If you want white sails all the time, if you like white sails, if that's your bag, well then you gotta be the dude that takes the sails down if he's not going to use his boat for 2 months.
Yeah.
It takes 15 minutes. Actually not even a 15-year-old girl, a 10-year-old girl. Okay, that's all it takes. You and a 10-year-old girl, and that's it.
I always, when I'm up in the boatyard after I sail,
if you see a boat on the hard with their sails on, that person has made a grave mistake as far as their investment. That person doesn't either know or they don't care.
There's plenty of them that you see that. You see that sail still on there and everything. Usually the yard will tell you got to take them down because we've had.
Oh, they've come undone and then they're flagging on the jack stands. Yeah.
We had that happen. It was blowing about 50 and a nor'easter up in Maine, and one night I heard the sound of a sail. I was living on the hard there on Mighty Sparrow, and I heard the sound of a flapping sail and pop up, and the other yard guys, this was before I was working for them, the other yard guys, they haven't got a clue what to do. They're just watching it, and they're watching the boat slowly rattle, and it's gonna end badly. Like the mast is gonna come down, or the boat's
something's gonna
tip
happen
over, and it's packed in with all these other boats.
Oh yeah, no, someone else's clue ring just smashing up against the next boat next to it
for the next 6 hours.
So
hopped up and yanked it down and stuff. But after that, I think the rule is if you're not going to be working on your boat, you got to pull that stuff down.
Yeah, I think that should be every yard's policy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just if you're not using your boat, like in Sausalito, we'd go down and walk the yard or walk the docks, to go get sales from customers and stuff like that. And any given pier, there was at least 10 boats that needed a UV cover change.
Yeah.
Because these boats haven't been touched and they haven't been the sails haven't been stored properly, and some of them you can just tell. Like you can go up. Here's a great rule of thumb: if you think that your UV cover needs to be replaced or possibly stitched again, because the sunbrella does pretty well.
Yeah,
protecting it.
It
But
takes
it
the
does
brunt.
it does have an age on it. But odds are you'll need it restitched before you need it replaced. And one of the rules of thumb is if you can go up with your thumbnail, it's literally a rule of thumb, if you can go up there with your thumbnail and aggressively scratch at the stitching and the stitching disintegrates, then you need a restitch.
Yeah.
And that can save you a lot of time and money if you go in there and you just preemptively do it, because that way you don't get in a situation where a gale comes through in the middle of the night and now half of your UV cover is flagging off, and because they can't repair that, they have to replace that.
Yeah,
they're never going to get it flat again because the fabric's going to be so distorted. It's going to be stretched out, warped. It would just look like shit.
Yeah.
If you own a boat, you probably have a little self-respect, I would hope.
There's all kinds of boat owners.
I know there are. But if you took the time to learn how to sail, I think you got to be able to have just a shard of respect somewhere, self-respect. Somewhere buried inside of it.
For sure. Oh man, well that's cool. Well, we're well on to the time. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're at like an hour and a half now, so we've sort of blasted past the hour mark. But like I said, I think we'll try and do a second one. That's,
I'd love to do a
completely different subject matter.
I'll spit game and anything.
It'll be pretty fun. But I mean, over the course of sort of your career and everything, has it been? I don't know. What's I guess. What have you learned from it all?
Just do the shit job, dude.
Just do the shit job.
Just do the shit job, man. And people come to rely on you, and then no, you don't fold under pressure.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the big thing. And also always eyeball the cool shit. Like if I were to do it all over again, I mean, I would think carbon fiber design would be really interesting. Getting as high tech as possible.
Yeah.
I think being on the bleeding edge of everything always keeps you in lockstep with the people who are also doing the same thing. So
innovators,
the innovators are always looking for somebody to help them. And if you stopped learning sailmaking 10 years ago because you're just like Crosscut Dave,
right?
Then you're not going to be wanted in the bleeding edge stuff. And so always keep your eye on what's happening now. Always learn it, understand it. Because, dude, I've always seen sailmakers fall aside. And I've always seen people, this is just life in general, right?
Yeah.
If you aren't interested in what's happening tomorrow, then you're just yesterday's news. Because you really got to be constantly focused on what the next thing is in order to make sure that you know how to use it, you know how to manipulate it, you know how to, acquire it, whatever. You just got to always just keep looking, because just because sailmaking is like as old as carpentry, dude, tomorrow's a totally different day than yesterday.
Yeah, there's going to be new levels, new bars set.
There's always going to be something new. There is always a record falling.
Yeah.
Right? And they did it with something else, or else the record would have stayed.
Yeah.
Right? And so you always got to figure out how do I be there? That's all I got. It's like
hey, it's very insightful, brother.
Yeah. And just make sure you're in the know. Make sure you're paying attention in the
Pay
meetings.
attention, yeah,
Pay attention
and those connections. It's all about
one,
connections.
be at the meeting, and two, while you're there, you might want to pay attention.
Life lessons with Sven Rand.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, and other than that, just keep an eye out because we'll be doing another one shortly.
No, thanks for having me. I'm glad we were able to do this while I was up here.
It's very cool, brother.
Yeah, no, it was very fun. Very
All
fun.
right, man.
All right, bro. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoy the podcast and want to support it, just go to podbean.com and you can become a patron and keep the show on the air. Also, if you like the music at the beginning, the album is called Deep Teal, and the artist is Adrian Edson. It's available on Amazon Music. And if you want the full story of the trip around the world, the book, the Kindle book, and the audiobook can all be found on Amazon.com. Sailing into Oblivion, the solo nonstop voyage of the mighty Sparrow. Fair winds and following seas.